Hi everybody. I'm going to try not to make this a very long video, but the information that I have is very important. So I wanted to talk about the differences between for-profit schools versus not-for-profit or non-profit schools. Now, I was at work today and I was thinking about what my topic should be for the next video, and I was like, the school thing is very important. So maybe I should talk about the differences between the for-profits and not-for-profit schools. So while I was at work, I did my little research. I mean, I'm already familiar with these schools and things like that, but I wanted to make sure I was still giving y'all some pretty accurate information. So I did some research online just so I could give you some numbers and things like that. And then I'm also just going to talk from the top of my head from what I already know. So this became a very important topic for me when I was working in Columbia at a transitional housing facility for homeless families. And I noticed that a lot of them I did psychosocial assessments of their lives and things, and so one of the things we talked about was education and their finances. And so I learned that a lot of my clients were either enrolled or had been enrolled at for-profit schools, and I applied for the scholarship when I was in high school, and they told us about the differences between for-profit and not-for-profit schools. And so I saw that a lot of my clients were being misled by these for-profit schools, and I just wanted to educate them so that they would know some of the differences between the schools. Now, this is not to bash anyone who has a degree from a for-profit school, because not all for-profit schools are bad. Not all not-for-profit schools are good. But I do want to just talk about some of the differences. Again, I'm just going off the top of my head, so I don't have anything written down or anything like that as far as structure and what I'm going to talk about. But just about me, I did go to undergrad at the University of South Carolina Upstate, which is a not-for-profit school. It's a public institution in South Carolina. And then I also went to the University of South Carolina, the main campus in Columbia, for my master's degree in social work. So now, just to give you a little background about these things and my experience with the for-profit schools, when I graduated from undergrad back in 2009, I applied for a job at, I don't really want to give names because I don't want to slander or bash anybody's company or anything like that, but I did apply for a job at one of the more popular for-profit universities in the area that I live in. And I thought it would be great because I always wanted to be an admissions counselor because I was a student ambassador at my undergrad college, and so I always wanted to be an admissions counselor. So I saw the job opening. I applied for 2 different for-profit admission counselor positions, and I interviewed at both of them. One of them I only had 1 interview. The other one I had 4 interviews. Very long process. So the first interview went well. It was kind of normal. The second interview, again, went well. It was kind of normal. But the third interview, they brought me in to see what I would be doing by shadowing someone who already did the job. So I went, and the job is a sales job, y'all. It's definitely not anything like the admissions counselors at the school that I went to, who are actual admissions counselors. This job was a sales job, and they tell you, they had a board up on the wall, and it was like goals and how many students you had to have enrolled by a certain time in the month or else you would be fired. It was very cutthroat. So the lady who interviewed me, she and I went into this office and sat down with one of the admissions counselors, and she told me that to just listen to the lady on the call. So the lady called a person, and she talked to them about enrolling and the process and the benefits and things like that. And then when she hung up, the lady who was the interviewer, she told her, well, you should have said this, you could have said that, next time say this, or why didn't you think to say this? And I was just like, very much micromanaging. And so, after we left out, I asked her how often she sits in on the phone calls, and she says, oh, I'm in here all the time. So that was strike number one for me, because I don't like for someone to micromanage me like that and tell me what I could have said and should have said after every call. So she's like, yeah, I'm in here all the time. And so then she left me alone with the lady, and I was talking to the lady, and the lady was saying, that she really didn't like the job, and that she did it because she had to. She had a family, and she really wanted to be an elementary school teacher, and that she just did it because she needed the money for her family, and she didn't enjoy doing the job. So I was like, well, and me being, at that time I wasn't a social worker yet, but, if you're a social worker, you always have that social work personality or disposition. So I was like, I don't want to do this job because it's kind of like scamming people, and we'll get into that a little bit later on, but it was kind of like scamming people, really. So what happens is, okay, you see all of the advertisements on TV or even the ads when you're just browsing the internet, and it's these for-profit schools, and all you have to do is put your name, your address, your phone number, your email address, just your information. What happens once you click submit on that, it goes straight to the admissions counselor's desk, and there starts all of the phone calls. So they have to call you a certain number of times a day, and at this place anyway, they had to call you a certain amount of times a day and really work on getting you to enroll with them. And she had this whole list, and they told me that's what happens. The number comes to them, and they have a certain number of times they have to call you, and it's just crazy from there. Like, they have to contact you for so long before they can take you off the list. And so, it was just like a stressful job. I could already tell. Now, the other place I interviewed for, that one interview, it didn't seem as, they didn't seem as persistent as this place was. So, like I said, all of them are different. So, this place was just really adamant about getting people enrolled. Now, the other place, they did have goals and stuff too, but the way they went about it, it wasn't like this place. But anyway, so I had a fourth interview lined up. Now, the lady and I had been communicating through one email. I had 2 email addresses on my resume at the time, but we had only been communicating through one. So I had a 4th interview scheduled. I went there. The lady was saying, oh, well, I sent it to your other email that we had to reschedule. And I'm like, but we've only been corresponding through this one email, so why would you send it to the other one? But anyway, so I went back, and then it was supposed to be a video conference interview, and then the equipment wasn't working. So I'm like, okay, these are all the signs that I don't need to be here. So I never went back to that. And so then I did get that job in Columbia working with families that are homeless. And all of my people, my clients, they were like, oh, well, I enrolled into this school, and once I enrolled, I couldn't get in contact with anyone else. Nobody helped me. I have all the student loan debt. I can't get a job, like all this stuff. And I'm like, y'all, so I had to do research and print out like this flyer, this brochure about the differences between the for-profits and the not-for-profit colleges and universities, so that they could educate themselves, because it was just not a good thing for all these people to be in so much debt. And they were homeless, people that were homeless. So, you're talking $80,000 for 1 year in a 2-year degree program. But, $80,000, and you don't have any skills when you finish, you'll never pay that off. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I had to teach them about the differences and stuff. Okay, so some of the differences that I want to talk about as far as the not-for-profits and the for-profits. Okay, so the not-for-profit schools, which are like the universities, like the one I went to, USC. Here in South Carolina, you have USC, you have Clemson. Those are the two main ones. But those schools are funded by the government mostly. And that's why they don't cost as much to attend. Now, when you start talking about the for-profit schools, those schools are just what they say. They're for-profit. They're big businesses. They have investors who they look for the company to make money, to make a profit. So the not-for-profit schools are funded by the government. The money that they get, whatever's left over after they pay all their expenses and things, the money that's left over is to further their goals. So that money's not going to pay people more money. Like the top management people aren't getting that extra money like they may be at the for-profit schools. But that goes into, developing the schools, the programs, and that kind of thing. They're not in it to make a profit. Not-for-profit schools are also regionally accredited. The accreditation is the most important thing for any school. So whatever school you decide to go to, you need to make sure that it's accredited regionally. Now, most of the not-for-profit schools are accredited regionally. The for-profit schools are accredited nationally. And as far as accreditation goes, if you go to one school that's accredited regionally, it might not be accredited nationally, those they don't have the same accreditation. Your credits won't transfer, is basically what I'm trying to say. So you need to make sure that, if I decided to go to a 2-year tech school for the first 2 years, and then I wanted to transfer to a 4-year school, some of my credits might not transfer because the accreditations don't match up. And so let's say that I went to one of the for-profit schools for 2 years, and then I wanted to transfer to a not-for-profit school. It's a very good chance that none of my credits would transfer over to the not-for-profit school because they're not the same accreditation. So I would have to take all of my classes over, and that's money lost and money that you can't get back, and time lost and classes that you have to take all over again. So that's another thing. Not-for-profit schools have a broader range of study and majors. So when you go to a not-for-profit school, you get things like English, the arts, foreign languages and things like that, the liberal arts schools. The for-profit schools, they don't really cater to those kind of things. They are more career path driven. So you would go to a for-profit school if you wanted to do like web design or graphics or medical billing and coding. You see the commercials all the time. So they are very specific. They don't delve off into all these electives and things that'll make you more well-rounded as an educated person. Let's see what else. I said already that the not-for-profit schools are less expensive. Also, the not-for-profit schools, they are more personalized. You have campus activities, you have fraternities and sororities, you have the electives, you have more clubs and just social activities, whereas with the for-profit schools, some of them may have little clubs and things like that, but it's not personalized. It's like you just go to class, you go home, and that's it. Like there's no social activities, there's no clubs and, people fighting for a cause and all this other stuff that you'll see on a not-for-profit school campus. Let's see. Oh, and then also, these for-profit schools, they don't even have a campus a lot of times. So a lot of times you'll see the for-profit schools, their classes are in like an office building where they just lease space. And so, it's not college-y. Like you don't get the college experience at a lot of the for-profit schools. Let's see, what else did I write to talk about? Now, the not-for-profit schools, they have resources and special programs and things like that. for, minorities, lower income students. Let's see. And they're grant funded. Now, the for-profit schools, they target the minorities and the lower income students. And that's how they really, let me tell y'all something. That's how a lot of people sell themselves. Just like this company, they target, like everywhere you look, there's somebody targeting you. So I mean, if you go to a lower class neighborhood, you may see a liquor store on the corner. You may see fast food places that are not healthy. You may see, let's see, what else? Check advance places, and that's another thing. I probably need to make a video on that too. But you will see all these places and things that target lower income people. You see the liquor store on the corner because, lower income people, they use alcohol as a way, not all, I want to clarify that, but a lot of people lower income, and I'm not saying any specific race, but just the socioeconomic class, they use alcohol to cope with their problems and to get away from a lot of things, and we know that as social workers. And then you also have the cash advance places on the corners because, again, a lot of the lower income people in those neighborhoods, they don't have the education to know that if you go and get, and not necessarily the education, but just the knowledge. They're ignorant of the fact that they're being targeted because they know, okay, these people need money now. They're going to do anything to get it, and I can also charge them 400%. So they'll be paying back way more, but they don't read the fine print, so they don't understand that. So, I mean, it's just being targeted. So these for-profit schools, that's why you see the commercials on TV. You see the billboards in these neighborhoods, and they're targeting people who want a fast career, a fast degree, fast track, because people don't want to take 4 years and get a bachelor's degree. Why would you do that when you can get it in 2, but you'll pay 3 times as more? But people don't know that. They don't care about that difference because a lot of people take those student loans and they think that they're balling because you get that back in the refund check. And so the money is always the thing that's the motivation for these schools and things like that. And these for-profit schools, they spend a lot more money on recruiting and marketing than the not-for-profit schools. Like here recently, the not-for-profit schools have done a little bit of advertising. You may hear about like their Bridges program, where you can go from a 2-year tech school to their school. They might advertise that on the radio. You may see a billboard here or there, but they don't really do a lot of that hardcore advertising for their school because they don't have to. You know what I mean? But these for-profit schools, they do. They spend thousands, maybe even millions of dollars on marketing so that they could target the people who they know are going to want to get that fast degree, and they're going to want to get those loans and use that money for other reasons other than education. Let's see. I talked about that already, and I'm just looking at my notes because I don't want to leave anything out. Try not to make this video too long. I know it's been long already. Let's see. Oh, another thing about these schools. Okay, the for-profit schools, they have professors who make their own lesson plans. They do, they have like a guide as far as the curriculum, but they can tweak it a little bit, make it their own, add some things, take some things away. But these for-profit schools, they have these lesson plans that are approved by an academic committee, and there's really no deviating from it. They have to go by these curriculums, and you can't add, a lot to it as far as your own personal experience and things like that. It's strictly, we stick to this curriculum and that's it. So that's kind of cheating you of additional education. But anyway, let's see. Talked about that. And then, of course, also, the for-profit schools they really target non-traditional students, people who need flexibility, who need to work a lot and then take their classes at night, maybe on the weekends. And the not-for-profit schools have traditional students too, when they have services for have non-traditional students too, and they have services for non-traditional students as well. And normally a non-traditional student is age 25, I think, or older. Because a lot of times when you're in college, you're between the ages of maybe 17 and 18 to about 22, 23. So a non-traditional student is someone who may have kids, maybe married, maybe 25 or older, someone who's been in a career and then they left that career and they're coming back to school. Those are non-traditional students. So the for-profit schools really target the non-traditional students. Let's see. I think that's about all. And just some examples of the for-profit schools are schools like DeVry University, ECPI, ITT Tech, Brown Mackie College, University of Phoenix. Those are some examples, like schools that you see on TV being advertised. And they've even recruited celebrities to start marketing these or promoting these for-profit colleges, because they know that a lot of people want to be like celebrities, and they're going to do what the celebrities do, so they're going to want to go to these schools. Let's see. But y'all, if you get a chance, just Google how much these presidents at these for-profit schools get paid. I mean, when I did it a couple years ago, $130,000, $400,000, like, they get paid so much. And presidents at not-for-profit universities and colleges, they get paid a lot too. But these people at these for-profit schools, I mean, I was baffled by how much they get paid. Like $400,000? What? To be the president at a for-profit school? So I mean, if your school is making money like that, I guess you can get paid that much. But let's see. I don't want to leave anything out. Of course, the for-profit schools, their names are not really going to be, they're not going to hold any weight for employers. So it's hard for people who go to for-profit schools to get a job, because sometimes their accreditation is not what it should be, or they've had some issues and things like that. So, when you go to a not-for-profit school, the name is recognizable, is respected, versus going to a for-profit school. And that's a big reason why people who go to those schools have difficulty getting jobs. Not saying that people who go to not-for-profit schools just get jobs like that, because that's not true, and we know that too. So I did get some numbers from this website. It's info.ipfw.edu, and that stands for Indiana University, Purdue University, and something else. But it's info.ipfw.edu. But and just some of these statistics that I got from there. Let's see. 1 out of 25 students default on student loans at the not-for-profit schools, versus 1 out of 5, every 5 students default on their student loans at the for-profit schools. 28% receive a 4-year degree at a for-profit school, versus 65% of students earn a 4-year degree at a non-profit school. The for-profit schools spend about $8 per student on research, versus the not-for-profit schools spends about $5,887 per student on research. And then 72% of graduates from for-profit schools earn less than those high school dropouts and others who don't receive any higher education. So those are just some things about the for-profit versus not-for-profit. I hate that this video is so long, but hopefully this is helpful information to someone. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment box. And if you have any videos that you want me to make specifically, just let me know, and I will. And I'll be back with more social work topics and stuff to help people prepare for the license exam. So till next time, talk to you later. Bye bye.